Hello and welcome on in. OTAs are underway and we have you fully covered here on Command Center. A lot of new faces arriving in DC as we hit the field to break down the top storylines from this week's practice. And we dive into the running back room to get to know our third-round draft pick, Robertson Jr., as he sits down with Tim Hightower. Plus, Logan Paulson is in Santana Moser inside the film room breaking down how Robinson will fit in with his fellow running backs. And what makes a good tight end in today's NFL? Head coach Ron Rivera shares his answer right now on Command Center. And welcome on in, Julie Donaldson, Logan Paulson. Okay, it's so exciting. Football is back. We feel the excitement in the building. The parking lot is full, and everybody is basically out on the field.
Yeah.
Being able to watch a couple of days, what was your biggest takeaway?
I mean, I loved how sharp it looked. You know, considering that this is the first day, a lot of new faces out there, Carson Wentz being new. It ran really smoothly, which is not always what you see in these first OTA practices, especially with the weather. Great to see.
We'll get into maybe why was it running so smooth, and also talk a little bit about some of the new faces with the veterans as this show carries on here. Now, we did get to see the rookies as they do mix on in. It's our first chance to see how they will adjust, and also how they'll adjust to quarterback Carson Wentz as he's trying to develop that chemistry with his skilled players. Also getting a good look at the defense. Of course, the defense trying to make the offense's job difficult on every play. Now, for more observations from the first session of OTAs, here is staff writer Zach Selby and our radio play-by-play man, Bram Weinstein.
Out here after OTA, the first open media availability for OTAs, and we're talking to some of the players. And I noticed a couple of things, that really stuck out to me. One was that Carson Wentz, obviously, you have to talk about him, right? I mean, how do you think he looked so far? It's first really couple of days, but what do you think about him?
I'm waiting for all the tweets of we haven't seen somebody throw the ball like that in a few years.
Right. They've already come.
The first impressions of here is this particular level of athlete that kind of hasn't been here in a few years.
Right.
So first impressions are good. I was sitting there talking to Logan Paulson during practice, and he was actually quite surprised at how organized they were for day one. And I felt the same way. I think they've made it very important that everyone get here, be here. I think jump on board with this is a year we're supposed to start winning. We invested in a quarterback who's got a lot of experience, and he looks the part. I mean, he looks every bit the part. So I really want to hear from him. I want to see how he feels about it.
Right. No, I mean, and you notice how precise he is with the ball. Jahan Dawson even mentioned that earlier today. He mentioned how precise and accurate he is with his passing. And you were right. You do feel it kind of around practice how important it is for them to feel like this is the moment where we're all going to take the step forward here. Another player in offense that I really saw kind of be out there a lot more is Cole Turner. With Logan Thomas out, he's kind of stepped in there in those first team reps. How do you think he looked in that new role? Because that's a lot for a rookie, right?
It's a big athlete. They clearly have likes at that position. You could see with the type of players that they brought in, including Hodges as well, the undrafted free agent.
Right.
This is an interesting position group to watch. It's a lot of inexperienced players. Logan Thomas may or may not be ready for the start of the season. They're going to have to bridge that gap. They don't have another veteran here unless you count John Bates as a veteran. So I do think it's going to be very interesting. And Turner is clearly an interesting prospect at his size, his speed. He's a little stiff a little bit when he runs.
Right.
But as they talk about, this catch radius is obvious. He's going to be a weapon for them. How this plays out through the summer probably depends on how healthy Logan Thomas is.
Sure,
but how this plays out through the summer is going to be probably one of the most interesting position groups for the team.
Well, I think they like John Bates, or they like his hands, but there's just some things that Cole has been able to show so far that you really just can't find in a lot of other players. Let's go to the other side of the ball here, and as always, they're running a lot of three safety looks here, and Derek Forrest really kind of stepped up and did a lot of really good things today. I mean, do you think he's starting to take another step, so far in the second year of his career?
I think they're going to ask him to. I think it's clear that there are a couple of positions that they're probably going to look at in this third wave of free agency. A veteran safety might be one of them. A veteran linebacker clearly is going to be one of them.
Right.
But Derek Forrest is getting opportunities right now to play kind of in that role. I like seeing Cam Curl move back up towards the line of scrimmage. I think he's a playmaker specifically in the box. So who becomes this Buffalo nickel person or whatever this kind of position flex is, I think will be something to be interesting to watch. But Forrest is going to get opportunities because there is not a lot of depth at the position. Draft pick a year ago, second year, hopefully he can step up.
We know Corn Elder made the first interception of OTAs, but Derek was not too far behind and making a couple for himself. Also Cole Holcomb, another Cole, he's been talked about a lot as taking another step, being that Mike linebacker. Do you think he had that presence? Do you think he handled handle that down pat, during team drills and things like that?
It looks like it. I mean, and everything we know about him is he's a film junkie. He's going to be in and out of the building. He accepts any responsibility that's put in front of him. And again, this is another situation, not unlike Derek Forrest. They don't have a lot of depth at that position, so he's going to have to step up and do it. It does feel like in the case of Holcomb, they're behind him, taking this position by the reins, and let's see how it plays out.
Well, if his leadership ain't like his hair, he's got it pretty down pat. So
got that.
You guys can check out all of our coverage for OTAs on commanders.com.
It's exciting to be able to sit there and watch the guys on the field, and everybody kind of walked away really talking about their impressions of Carson Wentz. What would yours be?
Yeah, I think it's probably the same as everybody else's. I think you just see his physicality, just seeing that big body back there, the strong arm, his ability to kind of attack any portion of the field. Obviously, he had a little bit of hiccup on the first day with the interception, but he had some outstanding throws, and the ball velocity, the way it jumps out of his hand, is unique to him, and it's something that this organization has not seen for a long time. So love to see that. Really fired up to see his progression over the next couple of weeks.
Now, Terry Mclaurin is not here, but we do anticipate at one point he will be, of course. But we did get to see Curtis Samuel. And, of course, last season he spent the majority of the time kind of injured. How did he look out there on the field? Because he said for the first time he finally feels good and he felt confident in feeling good. Yeah,
I was privileged to be out there watching with Santana, one of the best receivers ever. And I love picking his brain while we're out there because he just said, look at the bounce in his step, look at how he's getting out of his cuts. And it's nice to see because we never got to see a healthy Curtis Samuel at all last year. So to see that, and the thing that I kind of noticed that I was most fired up about was just his utilization package, right? He was lined up in the running back, he's lined up in the slot, he's on jet sweeps, he's on motions, and just that usage package I think is really exciting because that's the future of the NFL. Deebo Samuels with the 49ers, like that's what this team has in that with that piece. Super excited to see what he keeps doing.
Yeah, he played running back in college, and so he's even asked, like, would you like to play that here potentially? And he said, I'll play wherever the coaches put me. Whatever play you have me in on, they just want to be able to get those touches. Also coming in, though, wanting some touches is Jahan Dotson. Yeah. We got to see him as rookie minicamp, but now you get to see how he goes up against the vets. And one thing he was talking about is you don't really know how good you are until you're playing against the best of the best. What was your takeaway on how good he is?
Absolutely. I think the one thing that stood out to me is just how smooth he does everything. And all those things we talked about in the draft process with his route stems and the way he breaks down, the way he attacks the football in the air, that was all on display. I felt at times he was playing a little bit slow, but again, he was getting open. He beat Bobby McCain on a little out route, which was beautiful. Again, stem inside, attack that inside shoulder, break out. Love to see that kind of thing. And again, like those are the things you saw on the tape. And so when it's validated against kind of NFL talent, I know it's the first day, not to get too excited, but it's always great to get that validated.
And defense. We haven't even spent any time talking about defense just yet.
Yeah. And defense, obviously, I think is usually a little bit ahead of the offense at this point. And it was great to see kind of Jamin looking really sharp out there. Cole looked sharp. The safety rotation with the Buffalo nickel, Cam Curl, Forrest, and Bobby McCain in the back end, which is a little surprising given they drafted Butler. But all those things are great to see, and everyone looked really sharp. So.
Oh, this first few years under head coach Ron Rivera, they were focusing in on defense. This last offseason, it feels like they might have shifted that a little bit once they got Carson Wentz to say, let's make sure that this offense is high-flying as well. Part of the addition to the offense is running back Brian Robertson Jr. And while he's adjusting to life in the NFL, we thought we'd help him out a little bit by sitting him down with one of our alumni, Tim Hightower. Here is that conversation.
First off, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
What was that feeling like? You've gotten this question a million times. What was that feeling like when you got that call?
Man, it was surreal. Like, it didn't feel real. It still didn't feel real until I kind of pulled up to the building today. Like, I had prayed about it early that morning. Just hoping that I got the call on day 2, and then, just staying patient throughout the whole day, and just hoping that that call was gonna come through. Then, just to get the call late, just later in the day, it was just, to see my family, my mom smiling, my family excited and happy, just to see, my dreams finally coming true, just unfolding right in front of me. It was just, one of those feelings, I was just thankful for everything.
You shared the backfield with Najee, right? You shared the backfield with some talented guys. You're coming down here to the Commanders. What was that mindset? As a running back, we all want touches. There's only so much that can come around. And I remember my first year struggling with that. I'm third guy on the depth chart starting out. Edgerrin James, you got a Hall of Famer there. You understand your role, but yet you're competitive. How did you handle that at Alabama? And you feel like that's prepared you for what you're about to get into now?
Well, just sitting in a talented room like that, everybody besides you, got talent, a lot of it.
Right.
So, with that being said, you just really have to, lock in and just focus on everything you got to do personally to just set yourself apart or earn yourself an opportunity. So the biggest thing for me you know, just when I wasn't getting the opportunity for real, I was just focused on, you know, everything I needed to do, you know, to get better, you know, alongside those guys, everything I needed to do, you know, to complement those guys at the same time. So, you know, it was always competitive. You know, it was fun. You know, it was hard, but I wouldn't trade that experience for nothing, really.
Some really good stuff there. And if you head on over to commanders.com right now, you can see a really cool story on Brian Robertson Jr. and the high praise that he's receiving from fellow Alabama alum and NFL Pro Bowl running back Mark Ingram. And we're not done with our running back discussion just yet. After the break, we send Logan and Santana Moss to the film room to find out how each back complements one another in our offense.
It's wet, rainy, and muggy, but we're still here for the Washington Commanders' first open practice of OTAs, and we had a chance to talk to some of the members of the beat. Let's check out what they had to say and what they saw during practice.
It's been fun seeing Carson Wentz kind of spread the ball around a little bit. You can see the way it comes off his hand. There's some authority behind it. But the thing I'm most encouraged about, Curtis Samuel looking healthy, spry, bouncy. It's rainy, but he's cutting with ease. That's going to be hugely important for this offense in 2022 to have a healthy Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, you know, there's no Chase Young here. There's no Montez Sweat. And so I'm interested to see who is going, you know, to fill those reps. And right now, James Smith-Williams look like he's had a good offseason so far. And, you know, the secondary is pretty interesting, too. You know, it's really interesting to get Benjamin St. Juste back in the fold. He missed the last part of the season, but I still really like his length, and I think they're high on him still. So, you know, they can mix and match in the secondary, and I think we're seeing that so far.
Yeah, I've enjoyed seeing Carson Wentz and Sam Howell both really put a lot of zing on the ball. I think Taylor Heineke's ball's improved a lot over the offseason. You're always watching the quarterbacks this early, but I think there's a lot of deep plays to be had in this offense. I think these guys are capable of making them.
I mean, Philly said that you're only here to watch quarterbacks, but we all know that winning happens in the trenches.
Right.
I love
big skill, as my line coaches say. Yeah.
I love seeing Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner working. Wes Schweitzer at center right now. I think that interior, that O-line's looking pretty good right now.
And that's a wrap on the day. I have a notebook for everything you'll need to know from the practice on commanders.com and all of our other content on the team. Go check it out.
Plenty of storylines to follow here as OTAs are up and going, and one of them is that of the running back room and the depth that it has with the addition of Brian Robertson Jr. Now, head coach Ron Rivera said that he liked the two-headed monster of running backs that he had down in Carolina with Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. But how do you use each guy to their strengths? Well, let's break it down. And for that, we go into the film room with Logan Paulsen and Santana Moss.
All right, Tana, we're here to talk today about the running backs. Maybe my number one position group, the position group I'm probably most excited about coming this offseason. Again, that's for a couple reasons. That's because we got Gibson, McKissick coming back. We've got, the young guy, Robinson, coming to Alabama. But I think Gibson's upside is something that gets me really excited. Here we just get a nice insert by the tight end, and Gibson just makes an excellent read. And this is what makes him special, man. When you give him space, he can do special things. He's a big, strong, physical dude.
Home run hitter. He's one of those guys that he's shown so much growth, tremendous growth throughout the years, and you keep harping on just some of the things that he does, and you say like, man, only if he played the position a little longer. But that's giving you that upside or that expectation that he's going to overcome that and really be dominant.
Absolutely, and I think that's the other thing is like he's still learning the position. You see that all the time, and here I love this play because he does an excellent job setting this up. This is outside zone. Everyone's pushing their landmarks. See how flat everybody is, and watch him stretch and watch the patience here to kind of set these blocks up. Wait for the cutback. You see his eyes, his shoulders still pushing that way. Everyone's sinking their blocks. Love that. And then again, you just see a big, fast, physical dude who can finish runs. And when he's in space, man, he's a dangerous player, right?
He's head on goalpost.
He's absolutely right. And then probably the guy that is probably most underrated in the backfield, people don't talk about enough coming off the injury, is McKissick. And I think he is just a great satellite space player, right? Here he is one-on-one with a linebacker, and watch him just say, I'm going to win this and win the game for the Washington football team with this touchdown or this big play. Again, not many running backs have that ability, former wide receiver.
Well, you get a guy who played the position, played receiver, and now he's in a small shell, so you can put him at both. You can try him in the slot, you can put him in the backfield, but he plays the backfield for us, and he does a great job on third down, just making play after play coming out of the backfield.
Absolutely, and again, that's what the NFL is about today, is finding mismatches. He's a mismatch weapon. Again, this is a broken play. Here he is kind of leaking out of the backfield right here. And again, give him the ball in space, and he can make things happen. Because this linebacker, I played in Atlanta. This is Deion Jones right here. He ran a 4.37 at his pro day, and watched McKissick just eat this angle up and say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 6. And he's, again, that's what that speed and athleticism, that mismatch ability does for you. And then the guy that I'm probably like most excited about is Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, what do you call him? He's a pure what?
Yeah, he's a pure runner. He's one of those guys,
runner.
everything is just natural. You look at him, you say, man, he's a guy that we haven't had for so many years.
Yes.
We needed that guy that can run between the tackles when things got hard, those critical downs. And we've been searching. I think we have.
I think
one.
it is, and here's a great example, right? So every run play is designed to get you back to an unblocked player, and they're going to block this receiver here, and it's this guy, right? And what does the running back do when it comes time to get to that unblocked player? And you got to bring your own blocker, and he does an excellent job of this. Says, no, thank you.
Amen.
I'm going on to the next thing. And then you see the power, you see the physicality, and again, that's what people think of when they see him, right? When they talk about him, he's a big guy, 225 pounds. But again, he, like you said, he's a pure runner. So here, the O-line messes this up. We're getting a safety blitz here. This guy's going to play over the top. The O-line doesn't get it blocked. But watch, it doesn't matter for him because he knows if he's patient. Look at those shoulders. Love those shoulders, setting up all these blocks. And again, his ability to put the foot in the ground and make that guy. Look at this guy. What's that guy doing right there? Checking that guy's shoelaces out.
The mama ain't seen it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, again, the ability to make people miss. And like you said, I love how you pointed this out. He's a complementary piece to Gibson because he's a pure running back. So, man, I get super fired up seeing all 3 of those guys in the same backfield, and I'm just so excited to see what they do, especially behind this offensive line.
No doubt.
Coming up, we take a look at the unique skill set of the Commanders' tight end room and the options they have at their disposal.
All right, so welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about all the different footballs that people use at practice and on game day, and we're going to start here with the first one. This is a football straight out of the box. They got the little symbol here. Under here is a chip that gives you all the information you need, like ball velocity, ball distance, all that stuff. But Tanner, what do you think of that ball? If you had to catch that ball, what would you say?
It looks good, and it's not broken in. So this is one of those balls that I normally sign or autograph. So don't want to see it in practice or the game.
And it's slick, right? It's got some like weird stuff on it, right? And I hate catching a football like that.
Yeah.
So what they do is they go to this football here, and this is the quarterback ball. And what they do is they put baseball dirt on this sucker. They grind it down. I was with a ball guy who would he'd take it home and sleep with it. He'd put it in the shower. He'd put it in the oven, try to get it the right consistency, right texture, right? It feels good. There's some little, you can see the divots on here, right? So the quarterback can grip it, so the receiver can grip it. It's an excellent football to catch. I love this. I just feeling it's like sticky in the hand.
Balls normally I take home and my kids find a way to scuff them up.
Oh, that's the worst, right? It's like the basketball, right? It's not quite right. But that was the quarterback ball, and then this is the kicker ball, right? And the kicker ball is interesting because you only have an hour to get this ball right, exactly the way the kicker wants it, right? And kickers, you know, are very particular about what they will be kicking. And this is so. This one they try to smooth out this ball, right? They maybe get a little wet, kind of grind it down. They got a brush they can use, try to get that nice and smooth. They try to get the shape to kind of look like a soccer ball, so it's nice aerodynamic. I actually think this is a really nice kicking ball, even to catch.
Yeah, similar to a rugby ball, most not quite as big, but it's one of those feels that I can always tell the difference. You know, when I catch punts, I'm like that ball just feels like
different.
It's got a little more inflation, and it's one of those things about it that you get used to this kind of ball because you don't really have to grip it. It just sits in your arms.
So when you were catching punts, did you have to catch like the kicking ball beforehand? No, yeah.
You always go out there and get familiar with it because you want to know what you're going to be catching. You know, and I love it.
And then Tana, what do you think about this ball? This is the worst ball. If someone gives you this ball, they actually hate you. Okay, because this is the Jugs ball. It's an old kicking ball. It's completely smooth. They actually pump it up extra, so it's like catching a brick. And so when they got the Jugs going after practice, this is what you're catching. I remember catching these and my fingers would sting because the balls are so hard, so firm. And again, like it's just this really gross football. So if someone ever gives you that, you say, no, thank you. I want a quarterback ball, a kicking ball, maybe even a ball out of the box. But that is the worst ball. I mean, look at this thing. It's gross.
It stinks.
But yeah, so those, and you can even see where the Jugs machine was rubbing on it right there, kind of making those weird lacerations on it. But those are 4 different types of footballs that would be used in practice and obviously on game day.
You know, Logan, I bet a lot of people didn't realize that there were so many differences in footballs depending on who's using them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that you just kind of
one
take
ball
for
and that's it.
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But there's multiple balls, multiple different things. And it was fun to do that segment with Tanner.
It was, and you look like Chef Boyardee doing that as well, serving up some different styles and different footballs and what's needed Fun segment. Appreciate you playing along with that. Okay, you're a tight end here.
Yep.
You know like what it takes to catch the ball. You know what it takes to block.
Right.
And that's a position that we also were discussing and kind of will be following as OTAs continue along, is that of tight end here, because Logan Thomas is still recovering from a torn ACL. So what options do they have? And more importantly, what skill sets is head coach Ron Rivera looking for?
A big man with some skill and athleticism that you look for. That's why I think basketball players or quarterbacks have been able to transition to it. It's also a position, though, that calls for a guy to know the game, understand the game, and body position. You know, one of the best body position receivers I've ever been around is Greg Olsen, who knew how to keep his body between the defender and the ball. You see that with guys that can rebound, you know, go out and get the ball. That's why I think some basketball players have transitioned very, very well. I was with Antonio Gates in San Diego, and I think he was pretty doggone good at it as well. And if you have some size and some athletic ability, and you are a guy that has ball skills, I think you can transition very well to that position.
One of the things that spurred that conversation is Antonio Gandy Golden transitioning from wide receiver to tight end. It seems like this is a position, as Coach mentioned, a lot of transition from other positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big part of it is just finding guys, big athletic bodies, because like when I evaluate tight ends, I don't necessarily look for those skill sets the way that this staff does. And obviously they prioritize that. So AGD's big body, converter wide receiver, can run. And they mentioned the body control. All the guys, Cole Turner, Hodges out of ASU, big body guys who can contort in the air and catch that football. And that's something that they've targeted. They've got it here, and it'll be interesting to see how those guys play out, because over the first couple days of OTAs, they've looked outstanding.
And they believe they can develop them as well. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Command Center, though. We leave you now, and we'll see you next time, everybody.